Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Umar Mursal. I am the presenter of the Sudanese intellectual program. And today we are in Sudan TV to transfer the subjects from the center to the stage. We are really happy, and for that I would like to give my gratitude and thanks to the Sudan National Radio and Television Director and the team that they are welcoming us. And for the audience, the teachers, professors, for the doctors that they are involving at the audience, we're really happy, and this is very amazing program. That's why we're here. And please support us with your questions and opinions and comments that we really need to speak about it. Today, this subject is it's really big and it's not easy. There are so many people, they say that talking about such a subject, it's kind of cumbersome and it takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot of time to understand it as the subject. So for that, subject is titled Can Physics Explain the Existence of the Humans and the Universe? This is very making sense if you look at the title. It's highlighting how can physics explain or doesn't explain the existence of the universe. When we say universe, this is one of the biggest and complex area. So for that, you can focus more on the audience and let's say preserving our ideas and the way we're addressing the subject. And for that, I would like to give my gratitude again for our guest to be as the main guest for the program, as well as the audience. Her name is Miss Rowan. She's a physicist, and she's an English teacher at the center, EMC. And we are very happy to have the program with her, because we cannot discuss such a subject if we don't talk with someone who has studied it, someone who had researched about it, someone who is come across by it. So that's why she is literally a physicist, and you have a chance at the audience to ask her your comments and questions. For now, I can give a stage for her to represent herself and say a little bit about the subject.
Thank you, Mr. Amarian, for the beautiful introduction. Okay. My name is Rowan محمد. I study physics at University of Sudan, University of Science and Technology, and I am a graduate 2 years ago, and also I'm a former English teacher at the ECC and the EMC, and I'm very happy to be here today. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much. So generally speaking, as you know, that subject says, how can physics explain the existence of the universe and the humans? I think this kind of question you come by many times. For that, I may ask you, what is it, the subject called physics? How can you define the physics?
Well, physics is just a part of science, like a branch of science. There are many parts. There's chemistry, physics, biology, etc. But physics specifically, it concerns with the studying of nature. It puts the human as a center, and it wonders about everything around the person or the human.
All right.
So it is the study of nature.
The study of the nature as well as the humans.
Yes, nature around the human. So the human is included.
So how can you look at the subject? It says physics can explain the human existence. Do you think physics can explain human existence more even than the universe?
Well, human is part of universe. If you took it as in this context, yes, physics can explain the existence of human if we consider the human is part of universe. But we are, in physics, we are putting the human as a center, and then we're questioning everything around him. So the physics does not explain why human is existed. Why is he there? How is he there? It doesn't answer such questions, but it can answer questions about the universe around us.
Why you think if you put the humans at the center of the physics, why you don't say that human as entities that with the mind, then they can have the honor of explaining their existence through the physics?
Well, they can do that if they create themselves, but human is just a result of something. So he cannot explain their existence.
All right, let's go to the, say, universe. How physics see the universe, generally speaking? We talk about the cosmological stuff, like we talk about galaxies, stars, we talk about all these giant creatures. So how could you look at their existence? How can you?
There are so many theories that talking about the creationism of universe, but the most acceptable one in science, it's the Big Bang theory. It's the only theory that can be taken with.
Literally, we talk about theories that is talk about creationism, which is the Big Bang theory, and then we talk about Big Bang theory. Literally, is the very highest subject. And we can talk about how galaxies, they subtle. When you say the galaxies, for example, how moon could just happen to be there, for example. So how can you look at these amazing, beautiful, natural creations of this you could call creation of the God or whatsoever you want to name it as the physicist. Maybe there is another life, for example, a human can sensate themselves. So tell us more about other cosmos, their life, their existence.
Yeah, so our ancestors, they didn't have the technology that we have today. So they believe that all they can look at is just the sky and the nature around them. They don't have any technology to look further beyond Earth. So they believe that Earth is the center of the universe. This is something that they believed at that time. But within time, when Galileo and other astronomers and philosophers, they start to question this. It didn't seem very reasonable to be the only creatures in this entire universe. So they were curious about what is going out there. So they started to make theories, and they started to make guessings about what is going out there. And then going on in time, people started to, with the scientific revolution in the 17th century, everything got clear. We were able to, send spaceships to the space to discover more, and we realized that we are not the only one. We probably won't be the only one because the universe is so big for that.
So do you think science, physics, chemistry, all these three subjects that we call at the center of the science, do you think you can easily tell us the clarifications about the origins, for example, of the universe, how universe originated, or how they came to that process of existing?
Well, as I said, the Big Bang theory was the only logical theory, or the only logical explanation. Observing the universe around us, they got to this result that universe started at one dense point, and then this point got exploded, and then it started like inflation. It started expanding, and then step by step. First of all, there was the radiation era, and then there was the matter era. In the radiation era, there was no matter at all. There was no planets or galaxies or anything, just energy. After that, there was the matter era. This is when stars started to form, and then after stars, there was the planet, and then galaxies. They all gathered together to make galaxies, and then more galaxies, and so on.
So, do you tell us, or can you tell us more about the time that they exist? For example, chronologically speaking, Big Bang theory cannot tell us before itself, because in science we believe that everything has a cause. Everything supposedly have reason to exist and reason to emerge for existence. So do you think Big Bang theory can tell us more about how itself could be merged there? And that's the biggest claim people are saying.
Well, that's a beautiful question, since physics cannot yet get to this point. Like they got to the point that Big Bang Theory started as a dense point, but why this dense point is there? This is like a shady area. No one knows.
How do you satisfy yourself when you call you are logical being, you are rational being, you are erudite, well educated? You cannot, let's say, take views that cannot provide practical evidence, for examples. For me, I cannot see a practical evidence for the Big Bang Theory that can explain its beginning. So since that you're ignorant, then you remain ignorant, even the time to come.
No, we're only ignorant about the before the Big Bang Theory. We don't know why did it start like that. Only a creator or a higher power would know this.
So do you believe that there are billions of universe and stars in this world?
Well, observing the universe around us, I believe that we are not the only universe even. There must be other, because when the Big Bang started as a point, it expanded and then it would finish again as a point. And then this point would do the same thing. It would explode and then gather again and make a point and so on. It would make multi-universes. Maybe there are universes before, maybe they are coming.
When you can show me one by the naked eyes, let's say, whenever you want to tool that you want to use it in today, we live in a cosmological or let's say technological era that we can easily see what thing that cannot be seen by the naked eyes, as you science are trying to name it as in that area. But how can you believe on something that you cannot even see? What evidence do you have for it?
Well,
ignorance.
You are made of particles. We don't see the particles, but we know they are there. We don't have to see everything by the naked eye to know that it's there. There are so many theories that are proven mathematically. We can prove that mathematically, but we cannot. There are some stuff that we cannot observe, like the electron. They're too just small to be observed by the naked eye.
So do you believe?
But studying their effects, we can know that they're there.
All right. Do you believe in evolutionary theory that it tells us that human they are originated from this and this?
This is more of biology, but personally, I don't believe in the revolution by, you mean Darwin theory? Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me because they say that, or he says that we come from apes, right? Just because, what the evidence? Just because we have the same DNA?
The same question I was asking, that what evidence do you have for billions, millions? This term is very big. Billions of the universe are there. Mass cannot lie, but physically you're lying.
We can see the effects everywhere around us.
Sensible?
Yes.
All right. Why you don't see that the chronological linking process? For example, Darwin was saying that natural selection, okay, there's supposed to be one DNA connection to all existed entities, whether human, plant, animals. They should have one source as the genetic connections. Because if you look at the science is trying to give a conclusion that every creature has the same DNA sequences. You know that? For example, when you check a planet DNA, you will find representing the same 4 letters sequentially there. When you check it to the human DNA, you find representing the same sequences on there. So for that reason, why you don't think the natural selection, it's the one we are there because of it? For example, we exist because we are naturally connected to the one tree that represent all creatures.
Well, yes, we are living beings. You said plants. We have the same DNA. That's because we share the same basics of life. For example, the trees, they need to burn sugar to survive, right? So their DNA must have this instruction of burning sugar. We have the same basic thing that we need to burn sugar in our body, so our DNA must have the same instruction. But that doesn't humanize the trees, and it doesn't make us trees. And it definitely doesn't mean that we come from the same origin just because we share some instructions in the DNA.
DNA is the focal and the core center of the definition of everything to give the quality and the characteristic on it. DNA defines who you are, yes. DNA is a chronological process of linking things. Why you deny the role of the DNA here?
I'm not denying, I'm just saying that we can share the instructions in the DNA with other living beings, because we are all sharing the basics of life, breathing, living, eating, drinking. It's all like a process of...
So you define life as an entity that can breathe, for example, as a planet, as let's say humans, the whatsoever creature that breathes and moves and change itself to whatever you want to call it as a change.
Well, yes, except that humans are more unique than other living beings.
In what aspect you think?
Mind.
Mind.
Of course.
There are
the free will.
Aquatic marine animals. They live in the sea. They much making thinking process more than humans. Science is trying.
Can they go and get a coffee? Do they have free will?
Do you have free will?
I believe I do.
How do you explain your free will?
I can go right now and get some coffee.
And when you select the coffee, is it mean that you the one who call your choice? Like you think like you don't want to choose it, or there is a creation that's trying to give you the idea of liking things, because you genetically you created in that aspect. For example, you eat the breakfast in that restaurant, not just because you choose it. Genetically, you are there. You have cause. For example, you feel hungry. Okay, you look at the food. Food, you know, encourage you to choose. So the selectivity does not define the free will, I think.
So you say that because we did not create ourselves, we don't have the free will.
You could possibly say like that, but since you cannot do multiple of things, the free will, the free choice, then that's the time to explain and give excuse that mean you are not that super being as you claiming.
Yeah, I'm not super being, but I'm more unique. Maybe there are more intelligent creatures than us, just not living with us. But right now we are the most unique
You
one.
are more unique as a human, or as just person? Like we talk about individual levels.
Human.
You can speak on behalf of the audience, on behalf of whoever is sitting there, whoever is a doctor or teacher or a student. You think that they can have the same process of thinking and the same process of liking and hating something. We know that yes, you don't hate something without no reason. You don't love it without any reason, but there are reasons to do things and to hate things. But you are saying should be a common free will, that we should follow that, the common thing. We are making everything by ourselves. You are saying like that.
Yeah, that's what I say.
All right, how can you define life, physically speaking? Life of, for example, how we come to exist. Do you think human they existed due to the reproductions, or you think, no, DNA is coding us that we die, we born in another shape, we will come again, maybe we come as the planet, maybe we will come as the humans, as a child, rebirth. So how can you look at this very natural selective process that in life is existing? So how can you look at this complexity of death and life, rebirth?
Well, you're talking about creationism here.
Yeah.
There are so many theories about this.
Yeah.
What you mentioned about being reborn in another body, this is more of like the Buddhism, I guess. They believe that. And they believe that the universe is going to create again, it's going to create itself again. Also, there is the Christian, there is the Hinduism, but since I'm Muslim, depending on the Islam story, which tells us that humans started with Adam and Eve, two people, and then they reproduced.
All right, thank you very much. We can give a gap and then we can come back.